and welcome to another Focus. This is a video podcast for parents who are looking after their teenagers. So today I have another guest. So Katie, if you could introduce yourself, that would be great. Go for it.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. I'm Katie. I am a secondary schools worker for a Christian charity in Sutton. It's for an organisation called Sutton Schools Work. And basically, we are a Christian charity that work in primary and secondary schools all across the borough of Sutton, doing stuff like RE lessons, Christian unions prior to COVID. And now all of our work has just sort of gone on YouTube until schools are open again. Really.
That's cool. We were chatting prior to this, and I think I sort of shared, like myself, a lot of many other parents have become teachers in our own home, encouraging the lessons to be attended and the kind of homework and schoolwork to be done. But I wonder if you've got any insight into what other areas our children may be missing from school as well, away from education and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. Well, firstly, I just want to say well done to all you parents. I feel like you're all superheroes. You've just got your capes on in the background. Like the fact that you've had to, this time a year ago, none of us would ever have predicted the time that we were in, and that we still are unfortunately in at the moment. And the way that you've had to adapt and not only be parents, but become teachers and do your jobs as well is incredible. So hats off to you all. You're all doing an amazing job. So I'll actually answer the question now. Yeah, well, obviously education and school is like the biggest thing. But I think there's so many other ways that young people are missing out on, and the things that might impact them not only short term but long term as well. And that first thing is social contact. I think that's the biggest thing of all, not just for young people but for children, for adults, for all of us. I'm sure we can all relate to the fact that we're so desperate to see our friends, we're so desperate to hug people, and young people are used to being in school 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, and all of a sudden they're trapped in their homes. And especially if they're extroverts, like they want to be around people, they thrive being around their friends. And particularly when I think about when I was a teenager, I just loved being with my friends as much as I could be. And the fact that they have basically been told they can't do that right now is hard. So that whole social aspect, because that also affects their development, not only physically, but like emotionally and spiritually, because they are just missing out on so much, and their body is still developing, like not like I just said, not physically, but more than anything, emotionally. I think I read a fact somewhere that the brain keeps developing until you're 25 or something like that. And it's just like the fact that they are having to stay indoors and live their teenage years, like just being stuck behind their front doors at home is hard. And totally get that.
That's cool. So with that in mind, what can we as parents do to not necessarily solve the problem, because we are where we are, but what can we do to sort of alleviate some of this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I've got like a few points that I want to share, if that's okay. And the first one is positive encouragement. Like with your children and young people, no matter what age they are, positive reinforcement is so important, just because it's going to really help them to keep motivated and to be like, yeah, I can do this, let's keep going, and that like we're all in it together. And I don't mean to quote High School Musical there, but it's true that we are all in this together. And just really encourage them to talk openly and honestly about how they're feeling. I think that's so key. A second one is don't be too demanding of them, because they have so much going on in their minds, just as much as you parents do. We're all trying to juggle and adapt to this new life that we were just thrown into almost a year ago now, which is crazy. But yeah, and be there to listen. Communication is key. Like just in general with any relationships that you've got, communication is like the number one thing. So talk as openly as you possibly can. Providing reassurance, just going back to that whole, we're all in it together, and there is an end to all this. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and God provides that hope for the future. And and that God is holding our hand throughout this and is right there by our side. And also working in partnership with not only your school, but if you have one, a local church as well, because your church want the best for your child just as much as the school do. And if you have questions, if you want help or support, don't be afraid to reach out. That's what people are there for. They want to be there to support you. And lastly, for you parents particularly, don't expect that you have to be an expert in every single subject. You need to be easier on yourself. Like, all of a sudden you've had to take on all these new things and become this teacher, and you're not necessarily trained as a teacher. Unless you are, then that's great, but if you're not, it's hard, and you shouldn't ever have to expect yourself to all of a sudden become 100% A-star students in something that you might not be as strong in, for instance, maths, because I know that's something that I really struggle with. And it's okay to not be an expert in those areas. I think encouragement, communication, and just being there for each other, supporting each other is the most important things right now.
But thank you for that. Oh, that was really useful and really cool. So that's the end of this focus for today. I hope it's been encouraging to you parents. As Katie said, as a church, we are here to encourage and cheer you on, as well as your young people. So please do contact us if you want. So for now, God bless and see you soon. Bye.
Bye.